So, did you know that there were kicks in Tai Chi? Because when I signed up, I didn't. Had no idea. And then one of my instructors was like, okay, so today we're going to work on kicks. I'm like, what are you talking about? Nobody said there was any standing on one leg in Tai Chi. There totally is standing on one leg in Tai Chi. Obviously, if you're intermediate advanced, this is old hat for you, but I figure everybody can benefit from some practice on them. And if you're new to Tai Chi or still a beginner student, knowing these are coming will help the intimidation factor if you have that. I know I certainly did. If you don't, that's awesome, but I did. I was like, what are you talking about? So there's three kinds of kicks, but we're going to talk about, we're going to do one, but we're going to kind of differentiate, and I'm going to talk about two, and then in the next class we'll work on the other one. And again, this is not about mastery, this is just exposing you to an idea. In the second section of the Tai Chi form, so after withdraw and push, you do cross hands, and we looked at embrace tiger, return to mountain last class, mostly in terms of that step test of, how do you step backwards? Why is it important? Well, because you start stepping backwards. So in that section, there's two kinds of kicks. There's called the separates and the heel kicks. And they're two distinct, different types of kicks. They're wired differently and they accomplish different things. I think it's important and beneficial to explain that now because sometimes they get all blurred and mixed up together once you go through actually learning them. So I'm going to show you the two, but what we're going to work on today is the separates. Just play with them, explore them. This is not about get it. So the separates are kicks that will make contact with your imaginary opponent with the top of your foot. It's an instep kick. Okay? So it would be like a groin kick. God, I hate trying to make everything all super martial. But it would be like kicking a soccer ball or kicking upward onto something. Okay? So that's the separate. This is what the separate kick looks like. And then there's some other stuff. But it's, you can see I'm kicking up with the top of my foot. There are also heel kicks, which would be like kicking through a door or shoving something away with your foot. So a heel kick looks like this. See the difference hopefully? One of them is huh, and the other one is huh, okay? So if you can start to differentiate those ahead of time, you are already light years ahead when you get to actually learn those moves in the form. We're going to talk about heel kicks next class. Today I want to talk about the separates. So there's a lot going on with these. Do not expect to get it. There's a lot of wiring going on in this. But I'm going to talk through it first, and then I'm going to have to turn my back to you. No, I'm going to be there. But I'm going to talk to you. Forget about the hands. Don't worry about them. But there is a specific pattern for the hands. But what I want to talk about, substantial and substantial, is it comes from a move called, it starts with Papa. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to be on my left leg. My hands, they're basically one in front of the other. They don't cross here. Don't worry too much about that. But what substantial and substantial, my arms are going to come up, and I'll talk about why, but I'm going to sink more weight here so that this foot lightens up. And because my hand is out here, I feel like I'm going to tip over, but I don't. I sink, and it almost like slips my foot out in front of me. The closest analogy I've come to is like there's a banana peel here, and you're like, whoop, and you let this foot slide out, which I can only do if I am very substantial on this leg. Okay? So, let's try it together. I'm winging it myself, so usually I can kind of muddle through this with people here. I have one gentleman here, but it's different, so I'm trying to, how do I say this where you'll get it? Okay, so we're basically going to start where you're on your left leg. And you're going to have your right foot in a cat stance. So it's just resting there, but all my weight, or most of my weight, is on this left foot. And I'm going to cross my hands, so I'm going to have my left hand close to my chest, palms down. I'm gonna relax my wrists so they droop a little bit. Then I'm gonna open my arms. I'm not gonna cross them over. They're just gonna open sort of like windshield wipers. This hand is gonna come up, this hand is gonna come down. So they're not symmetrical. As this happens, hopefully you're feeling heavier on that left leg. And as these arms open, this gets heavier, and I feel like I'm gonna tip over, but don't tip over. Sink, and let that leg come up. Yeah. And shake it out, because your left leg should be feeling it. That started to make little glimmers of sense?
Yeah,
a little bit? Let's try it together again.
It's hard sometimes for me because I have background from other martial arts, so things are called differently.
Yeah.
But also, like, I transition, you know, so you just change the way you punch or change the way you kick just slightly. And so I'm having to relearn some of those learned behaviors.
He's had training in different disciplines, as have I. So, you know, I've been at it longer, so that this vocabulary is natural to me. But I definitely remember having to kind of unprocess, well, that's Taekwondo, and then now I'm going to do it this way. So if you have other movement training, whether it's martial arts or a different discipline, there is a little bit of a language barrier. Sometimes you have to learn to retranslate things. So know that that's normal if you're experiencing that. All right, so I'm going to face you. I just feel like, I don't know, if it messes you up, message me, let me know. I won't do it next time. All right, so we're mostly on that left leg. Right foot is kind of out here, relaxed, hasn't started to do anything yet. I've got my, make sure I'm showing you correctly. Left hand in front and towards your chest, right hand in front. They don't cross, so they're basically like two little swimming lanes. And I'm going to begin to open those arms. And as this arm comes up, I feel more weight generating on that left leg. And then I'm going to get to a point where it feels like I want to tip back. But instead of tipping back, I'm going to sink and let that foot slide up. And it's going to slide out at an angle. So it's not coming out straight in front. It's at an angle. And so the end game of this is you don't want to feel like you're using your muscles to lift your leg. It's not a hip flexor exercise. It's a body connectedness reaction to what your weight is doing. Nothing is ever what it looks like in Tai Chi, ever. Other than slow and graceful, okay, it is that. But there's a lot going on the other side of it. Let's try that a couple more times. Forget about the hands, don't worry specifically about them. I just wanted to give you the right information so that I can check that box. But so you sink, open the arms, feel the tip, and let that leg slip. It's kind of a slip up. Remembering that's out, it's going to be out to an angle. So I'm not kicking in front, it's here. And yeah, just try it a couple times, and you can do it on the other side too.
The hands switch if you practice on the other side?
Yeah, so good point. If you switch the other leg, the right hand will be closest to your chest. So whichever leg is standing, the non-kicking leg, that arm is closest to your chest. Yep, so they're asymmetrical, and then they don't go back here. They stay, basically they're going to end up one up here and the other one down kind of by your knee. It's part of the balance. It's like part of your counterbalance. Switch your hands. So the standing leg is the high leg, is the high arm.
Oh.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So it's, I'm here. This hand is what makes me feel like I'm tipping, but I don't let it tip. This hand then, combined with this leg coming up, is what counterbalances me from tipping over that way. Another thing I want to say about these kicks, these do not have to be high. To get them correct, if this is all if this is it, totally fine. That's excellent, because this is correct versus, right? So think about the connectedness, how it's wired more than how high the leg comes up. But anyway, between now and next class, if you want to just play with it, sink, and then imagine that there's like a banana peel, and you're like, whoop, huh. You know, and so I'm not actually feeling anything in my hip flexors. That'll be a good guide. Like if you feel like I've done a kicking workout, you could relax more. You could wire that more. So let's take like 30 seconds to a minute. We'll just do a couple more on each side. Just play with, these are the separates. There's separate right and there's separate left. And then next class I'll differentiate between heel kick, left and right. All right, so just play around. Take a couple on your own.
The arms mixed up again.
Standing leg is the arm closest to your chest. But it is also the one that goes high. And they open like parasols, so they're gonna both come, yeah, there it is. Slower, slower, sink, and let that leg kind of reflexively, there you go, that's the idea. Without leaning back. So, because you wanna keep your tuck, there's a lot. So think about your head suspended, your tuck, all those things that you know about in Tai Chi, and whew, and this is more of a reaction than a leg lift. Anyway, we are out of time. Hopefully that didn't totally explode synapses and kind of gave you something fun to play with. It's another one of those things you can play with while you're brushing your teeth or washing dishes, or just practice a little bit of standing on one leg, so that when you get there in your training, you'll be like, I've seen this before. So you'll be ahead of the game, which is the point of Master's Path. So any questions, comments, suggestions, send them to us however you'd like. Email, text, Facebook message, we'll get them. And we'll go from there. Glad you were here. Let's go ahead and bow out.
Head instructor?
Bow to beginner, intermediate, advanced, and possibly black sash level students. Master's Path training is dismissed. Good job, everybody.